Well, Stan, so much conversation about this around the hockey world the last couple of weeks. I was interested coming in today to listen to Mike Babcock talk and to get a sense as to whether or not he feels he needs to go about his day-to-day coaching in a different way than he had in the past. And I asked him that directly, but the question, it applies for you too. Do you think that Mike Babcock needs to approach things and coach different than he has in the past?
Well, I wasn't with him in the past, so I can't really say what was or wasn't good about that. But I think part of life is learning from your experiences, not just as a coach, but whatever you do is, when you get experience, you're smart if you can learn from it and take something away from it. I know I've done that in my life. As you look back at like situations, like I probably would have handled that a little differently, or I would have maybe done it this way next time because I saw that my approach didn't work. So, yeah, and I've talked to Mike about that part of growth is, reflecting on things that didn't land well and then changing. So then the hockey part of it is like there's certain tactical things or I guess non-negotiables for how you want your team to play that I think are important, but then it's the way that you deliver the message or the interactions that you have. We want them to be good interactions. So I'm trying not to focus too much on what was to where we are now, and we've told Mike what we expect. And I said up there at the press conference that it matters to me how we treat not just our players but our staff and everyone around, and Mike's on board with that. So we're on the same page there.
But respectfully, I think looking to the past at times can inform you of what the future might look like. And so heading into Columbus, Mike talked about having to change and having to be different. And he never got to the bench there, Stan, because of things that happened. So in your conversations with him, what led you to believe that this would be different?
Really just through lots of discussion about that situation, but also how he would, how game plan, how would you interact with our team in these type of situations. We went through those types of things in our interview process of kind of forward looking as opposed to backward looking, and he had very good answers for it, and we're gonna hold him to that. So that's the way it goes, and he walks into this like everyone else, excited about where we're headed, and we are too. We can't wait to get going.
I wanted to clarify a little bit about the role that your leadership group has played in your coaching search. So clearly you talked about them sitting down with Mike Babcock and having that discussion. We understand they also spoke with Peter Laviolette. What role does your leadership, or should they have, in big decisions in this organization moving forward?
Yeah, that started with, like I said, with Mike actually. Mike was saying, I'm not interested in this unless we're all on the same page. So Mike,
you wanted to talk to them.
Mike did, yep. And then I brought it up to them, and they said, yeah, sure, good idea. Like, we're all for it. But they weren't mandating it. It was, and the more I reflected on it, I understood what Mike was saying is we want to all be on the same page before we start this, and no assumptions that, oh, I think that's what he means. But no, let's just talk about it. Let's have our players talk about it with Mike hear it from them, talk to ownership. So nobody's going in with an assumption of what someone else might be thinking. We've clarified all that, and I thought it was a really healthy process.
There are a litany of stories out there from the past, and I know you said you don't necessarily want to dive into that, but how seriously did you have to take some of what's been brought up in the past? Whatever happened in Columbus, all the information isn't necessarily out there. How thorough did you have to be satisfied that something wouldn't come out down the road that maybe just isn't out there yet?
Yeah, well, we did our own due diligence as much as possible, and then we relied on the NHL too, as far as looking into it. They're an independent group. It wasn't at our behest. It was more checking with them, and and if there was something that they found, they would have certainly let us know. So I think that's what happens sometimes. Like, you don't always get the full story, and sometimes there's half truths that get said. And I'm not here to necessarily litigate what happened or what didn't happen, but I think the number of people that spent time looking into it when the league did their review, there's no issue with it. So with our due diligence plus the leagues, we felt comfortable.
I want to clarify Paul Coffey's situation moving forward. You've brought in DJ Smith.
Yeah.
McFarland stays as well. Will Coffey be on the bench next
He
year?
will be a coach next year. No, I've had good chats with Paul over the last couple weeks here about what his role will be. Won't be on the bench or on the coaching staff, but he's still got a ton of insight, and I know he was just talking to Murph and Dickinson yesterday, and so he's still plugged into our group, and he's going to talk to DJ about the D in particular, but he won't be on the bench.
How would you characterize discussions on Darnell Nurse out there, and do you feel you'll have something done by free agency?
I don't really want to get into that. Yeah, I think right now, there's a lot of talk with a lot of our players. This is probably, other than the deadline, this is the busiest time of year when you hear lots of off-the-wall proposals. So I'm not sure where it's going to go, but the next week is going to be a lot of discussions. We got the draft coming up, and there's probably going to be some trades and some free agent signings and all that. So I'm not here to make predictions. We'll just see where it all goes.
Appreciate your time, Stan. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.